YouTube, welcome back to my channel. This is Canadian Retro. I've got a video response actually for Taggin tubers. JRock mentioned me, or rather tagged me in a video here to answer 4 questions. It's called the "You Can't Take It With You" tag video, I guess that's what you would call it. But he's tagged me for these questions. Kind of surprising it's taking this long to get around to me. I've known a ton of different tubers that I was expecting might tag me. Never really got around to me, but JRock finally tagged me in this, so that's really appreciated, man, because I really did want to answer some of these questions. Actually, I was looking forward to it, and it was kind of, as far as the people I knew or I talked to a lot, seemed a lot of them had already answered the questions, and I was like, oh man, I may never get a chance here if somebody doesn't tag me. So really glad that you did. I thank you very much for that. But I want to get started on it. You do need to check out JRock's channel, that's for sure, because it's pretty amazing. The stuff that he does on there, he has usually like a weekly vlog. He also has a variety of other things going on. He does like game room tours of other people's game rooms, just like lots of interesting stuff, not just like pickup videos like my channel or anything like that. Actually, a lot more interesting content I think going on there, and something you need to definitely check out. So I'll put a link down below for sure to his channel, but definitely go check it out. So the first question that is being asked sort of in this round of tagging tubers is, do you struggle buying video games? And other people have mentioned this before. This question can be interpreted in numerous different ways. So I haven't really thought about my answer, so if I get a bit rambly, you'll have to forgive me, but I get really excited about these things. I love answering these kind of questions for people in the community and things like that. So the first one, like I said though, is, do you struggle buying video games? And for me, the answer to that is not actually a simple one necessarily. As you can see, it hasn't been that hard to amass a lot of things. I have made a few purchases, I think, in the past that I have regretted. Not large purchases, just individual games. In some regard, when you're out hunting for video games and you've had a really rough time of it for a few days, sometimes you'll end up picking up junk and things that you didn't necessarily want, or things that were moderately valued. I've learned to hold back on that and to not bother, which is probably the reason why I haven't seen as many pickup videos from me recently as you might have in the past. It just I haven't really seen things out there that definitely piqued my interest, or they were things I already had and it was too close to the market value is what they're asking for them to really do that. But lately it's been kind of rough actually finding games out in the wild. There's a lot of people out there looking for these things. I can tell a lot of times I'll walk into a place and someone's already been there, just because you'll see like a whole fresh new spread of games and there's just nothing in there of particular use, and it's just sports titles and stuff left over. Now that being said, on the same note, like, I'm not complaining about that in the slightest. I mean, that's the way that it goes. It's a pretty vicious world out there as far as finding these things. It's a really popular hobby right now, so I don't really find it necessarily as a struggle. As you can see behind me, it's not really a big struggle for me. I've got lots of games to play, so I'm not too worried about finding more games and things like that. There are a few things that I would love to get into my collection, but honestly, just as far as like the prices are for it, I'm not going to pay the retail for it. Absolutely not. I love to find my things on the thrift, or find things on the thrift and do trades for the things that I want. So I'm not really too worried about it. If I don't find another game for the rest of my life, I'm not going to be game deprived or anything. I do have amassed quite a large collection here, so that part of it I'm not too worried about. It's just, it's been a little bit dry lately. I think in the last couple of weeks, actually, I've found at the thrift shops, one controller is what I brought home. Now, I've found a variety of things in thrift shops, just not really willing to pay what they're asking for it, because they are jacking up their prices like crazy. So I've just been avoiding those things and really sticking to a golden rule that I have about collecting, is basically the thing has to be 3 or 4 times what I'm paying for it in order to buy it. Otherwise it becomes either trade fodder or it goes in the collection. Usually things that are $15 or $20, they tend to be more quality games for the most part. So those are the kind of games that I'm looking for now, and not just sort of picking up something because it's a good deal or whatever. Now, in the past I used to be able to go into a thrift shop on like a half price day, and for like $1.25 or whatever, $1.50 pick up games. So that was something back in the day. Now you go in and it's upwards of like $3 every time you go in, even if it's a half price kind of scenario. And they've cut out their half price days for the most part around here. It's really hard to find deals as far as that goes in the thrift shops nowadays. And some places are now putting, that I go to, put $10 on a cartridge game. So something like that just has been turning me off from picking up things that in the past I would have picked up before. So am I struggling to buy video games? Probably not. I'm probably struggling to clean more video games than I have, or actually play games that I have in my collection, because I do spend a lot of time, trying to get things organized and whatnot, and it's quite time consuming because I'm fairly meticulous about making sure everything that I have is pretty cleaned up. So I'm probably struggling more to play video games than I am actually to find video games or buy video games. That being said, I'll move on to the next question here because I'm already like 5 minutes in. It's have you ever regretted trading in a game? And I actually have quite a few games that I traded in and some systems at the same time too, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a retro shop that I think GameStop bought out and basically shut down, or EB Games as it's known here. Just that was kind of the scenario in it. They were both in the same place. It was like a mall in my area that's like literally about 10 minutes from my house. Not even that, it's like 5 minutes from my house. So I went into that store one day with my Genesis stuff. I had the stuff that I originally had, which was like my Genesis. I had a number of different games, including one of my favorites, which was D&D Warriors of the Eternal Sun. Had like Shining Force in there, I think, and there was a variety of other ones in there. I think I probably had about 6 or 7 of my own games with my original Sega Genesis, and then I had what I found from a garage sale, a Sega system with the CD attachment. It was a Model 2 with a CD attachment on it, and it had all the wires and everything you needed to run it, and it worked perfectly. A number of different CD games, including like Sonic CD, and there's a couple other ones in there. It's hard for me to remember because I only had them for a couple of days. I basically just cleaned everything up, tested it, took it over to the game shop, and they gave me, I think it was something lowball like crazy, and I just completely regretted it. I think it was like 50 some odd dollars. Now, mind you, this was about 8 years ago, so the prices have dramatically increased since then, but in modern days, that's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff I probably traded in. Not really the monetary value so much as it's just the fact that I had to track down all this stuff again and get it back in my collection. So things like the Dungeons and Dragons game that I mentioned, I ended up getting back and those kind of things, but it's taken me a while to sort of sort them out and figure it out and track them down and make deals and whatnot to make those things happen. So that's something that I really regret. I've mentioned it before on my channel though, so there's no real point in me going over it over and over again. But that was sort of one of my major regrets of all time, I think, for as far as video game collecting goes. The third question is, if you had to play a game again, knowing nothing about it, what would it be and why? And it's funny because, as you can see, like, I'm a console collector. I don't really collect PC games, but there's one PC game that if I never played it before, or rather if I had to play it again, not knowing anything about it, I would just be mind blown by the content that's available right now, which is Ultima Online. If you've never played this game before, basically it's just like almost like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of world. You go in and you have your characters, and you can have a variety of characters, but there's like a robust housing system going on there. There's a robust crafting system. There's just so much to do in the game world. It's unbelievable, and they add new content all the time, basically. So it's a pretty interesting game. If I could go back and actually play it again, I probably would. The reason why I stopped playing it actually was just it was getting a little too time consuming for my life, Nick. I have a kid now, so I couldn't really like put that time into it that I was used to be able to put into it, but I sunk so much time into that universe there. It's just such an amazing experience, and something that if you haven't had a chance to, you might want to just go check out like a demo of it or a trial or whatever you like to call it, and just go in and check out the world, because it's definitely something that everybody should experience. It doesn't really age perfectly or anything like that, and I'm sure there's games that are a little more quicker paced or whatever, but that was the thing that I loved about Ultima Online, was the patience it took to build your characters, the way of going about doing it, just the variety of the content that's there. And the game's about 17 years old now, so it has like 17 years of content built into it, to the point where it's just like overflowing with things. You could play that game probably for the rest of your life and never actually experience every single kind of scenario that's in it. So that's why a lot of people that, you know, started out way back in the day have still played it. I only stopped it recently just because maintaining 2 accounts, you know, at I think it was like $15, I think it's up to $15 a month now, was kind of starting to become unreasonable. And with the change in the Canadian dollar very recently, it's actually getting closer to like $45 or $50 to do that, just because of the ridiculous discrepancy between Canadian and American money, and then exchange rates and a variety of things like that. So I had to sort of take that into consideration when I was thinking about paying the bills and stuff like that. But that being said, I got so much fun out of that, and honestly, if it was like free to play, I think I'd probably still be playing it once in a while here, but just don't have the time to put into it anymore. But amazing game, and like I said, go check out some gameplay footage at least of it. Moving on, the last question here is, if you had to be buried with one console, what would it be? And my cheat answer would be the Retron 5, so I could just play basically any of the cartridge games that I have here. But if you had to choose one console that you absolutely could only take one, and it can only play one system of games, then I would have to say that it would be the Super Nintendo, which is kind of a weird choice for me because it wasn't one of the ones I had back in the day, but that's the reason why it's actually the one that I would take with me. You know, I love the Genesis, I love the NES, but I had an NES back in the day, so I played a lot of the games, not like as many as I have back here. Some of these games I haven't actually got my hands on yet, even to get into the machine, but you know, I played a lot of the games and I experienced that, and I experienced the Genesis as well, and I played a lot of games on that. Like I rented games all the time, you know, beat a lot of games on the system. So, you know, I really enjoy those 2 consoles, but if I had to totally go retro or whatever, I'd probably go with the Super Nintendo, just because back in the day I did not have a Super Nintendo, so that would keep me probably busy for an eternity just playing my catalog of games that are over there. So that would be pretty wicked, I think, to be able to experience that. I guess and the fact is, on the Super Nintendo, there's so many classic games that, you know, I never really had experience with. I was aware of them, but never really played them. So I think it's something that I would probably take with me if I could, assuming that being buried alive with it, or not buried alive with it, you're dead, but being buried with it, you'd be able to take it into the afterlife and, you know, keep on gaming kind of thing. I think Super Nintendo would be the one that I would choose. So that's everything for my video response here. Thanks JRock for, you know, shouting me out on this one or tagging me on this one. And I have 3 people that I want to put in the mix. I hope that these guys haven't answered the question. I tried to look through their videos just to make sure that they didn't, and I think they haven't, but I might have missed something, or it might have been whatever you call it, like titled differently than I was expecting. So here we go though. The first one is Anthony Sill, a guy who I've sort of met recently, like online, and done trades with very recently, and he's collecting, you know, for GameCube and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure that might be one of his answers, but he is a really good guy to do trades with, and he's been doing tons of trades with there. He's trying to complete a GameCube collection. So that's one person that I would like to shout out, and like all these guys I'm going to mention, if you haven't checked out their channels, definitely go do that. The next one here is Italian Gamer 86, another channel. I don't know when I sort of picked up on his channel, because I'm trying to remember like when I subbed to that, but really great and knowledgeable YouTuber as well. So love to see his channel grow as well, and I want to hear what his answers to these questions would be. And then finally, Jamone911, who is, you know, one half of the Waterloo video game swap like organizers. Amazing guy. Goes out with I don't know if he doesn't go out with CJR, but they do their pickups together most recently, and he seems like a really nice guy, and somebody who definitely I would love to hear his thoughts on these things, just because he seems to have a lot of knowledge about that kind of stuff, so I really want to see what his opinion would be on this stuff. So that's everything that I have here for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching. Go check out all those channels I've mentioned. Go sub to their channels, or at least check out some of their content. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Feel free to thumbs up this video, comment down below, and I'll see you all later.